today's newscast with a look at misogyny, panic, and superstition through the ages, using the examples of two famous movements in history. First, 17th century Salem witch trials in what used to be called Massachusetts, and secondly, the backlash to the 21st century international #MeToo movement. They show how humanity in general has always tried to protest change, despite how futile their efforts are. And now, without further ado,
some new information has recently been uncovered in the Mark Ficori trial. It appears that before her arrest, her husband, Giles, caught her reading books in a corner late at night.
What does this mean for our once safe Puritan society?
Well, if we allow this to continue, it could mean the end of the theocracy we have all come to know and love. Trends such as this are especially concerned with the recent decline in church membership and participation. This is certainly a sign of witchcraft on her part. Now, if it were a man reading books, we could at least speculate that he was learning skills he could use in his job in order to benefit society, but since it was a woman, it must be witchcraft. There's simply no other explanation.
Many are gathered here at the church in Lynn, Massachusetts today to witness the union of Elizabeth Proctor, one of the convicted witches from the trials over half a decade ago now, and Daniel Richards. Sir, what are thoughts on Goody Proctor's marriage so soon after the death of her husband?
It's rather wrong of her. When a woman marries a man, she pledges herself to him until they both die, not just until he dies. I heard rumors, too, that her late husband had an affair, and can't say that looks well on her. Good luck to Mr. Richards and all, but I doubt this union will go well for him. She's a cold woman.
What response do you have to the information that Elizabeth's former husband, John Proctor, had 2 wives before he married her?
Well, that's to be expected. He's a man. He has needs. Who would clean his house or look after his children if he had any, had he not a wife?
Thank you for your time, sir. Check back for more details on the union.
Mr. Paris, now that we're a couple months away from the events in Salem, do you still think that Martha Carter was guilty of witchcraft?
of course I still hold my original belief. She would be begged innocent, of course, but any guilty woman would.
What comments do you have on your refusal to pay for the release of Tituba, your slave, from jail?
She was no good to me as a servant anymore. I have no proof that she regrets her actions against God, against my child, and against my niece, Abigail. I believe that she should have been executed along with the 13 other women. The fact that the majority of those put to death were women makes me suspicious as well. As the descendants of Eve, they are more susceptible to the devil, and it sickens me to know that many of the accused are still out there. I will not have one in my house.
Thank you for this insightful information, Mr. Paris.
So in the past few weeks, a new hashtag has become extremely popular on social media, with some calling the phenomenon a movement.
What's currently being called the #MeToo movement is a national phenomenon where women all over the world are using the same hashtag to discuss their experiences.
Can you please elaborate on what experiences these posts discuss? Are they talking about assault, rape?
Rape is such an ugly word. Let's not use that word. I'm going to refer to this as misconduct. So basically these people speak publicly about these experiences with sexual misconduct in an attempt to help show others that have dealt with these experiences that they are not alone. However, this movement has brought some anxiety among men.
We have with us political lobbyist Jennifer Green, who is going to be giving us an overview of the effects the reactions to the Me Too movement have had on her professional career. Miss Green, would you mind recapping for us the event you highlighted in the Miami Herald last week?
Certainly. I was set up just a little while ago. I was set up to have a meeting with the senator, but he refused to meet with just me. He insisted on having his aide in on the meeting to act as a chaperone.
That's quite disconcerting. Did he give a reason by any chance?
Well, he claimed that he didn't want to be accused of anything. I believe his exact words were, well, anyone can say anything with the door shut.
What implications do you think this has for women in professional settings? Do you believe that this was a one-shot experience or a pattern?
Other women have claimed to experience these same things. Men refusing to meet with them alone, or sometimes refusing to meet with them at all. I think that if this is to continue, it, one, will obviously be very damaging to women's professional careers, and two, it could cause a complete separation of labor of using the boundary of sexual identity. If men are unwilling to work with women, but women still need jobs to survive, and they will in this economy, this is the only feasible option. I pray that it doesn't come to this point, but I fear it may.
Last question. What do you think has prompted men like this, Senator, to respond in this manner?
Personally, I think some men are afraid of losing power. They're scared of a world where their gender doesn't entitle them to better pay or better jobs or respect in general. If women and men are put on even playing fields, this could give people like him, people who are insecure about their talents, their intelligence, their power, or etc., a perceived disadvantage. They believe that they need every leg up they can get, so they put down the people around them in order to raise themselves up. And I think that that's the bigger problem in our society. Those of us who are lucky enough to be born into conformity don't play square with people who are different.
A lot to think about. Thank you, Miss Green, for your insight. And to all of our viewers out there, please come back after the break for weather and local news.
For our next segment, we're going to highlight on the recent backlash towards the hashtag #MeToo movement. President Donald Trump has been quoted as saying that it is becoming a very scary time for young men in America. We have a mother here with us today who shares the same opinion, to state her concerns with the growing movement and its potential effects on her son.
Thank you, Linda. Recently, I started a movement of my own called #HimToo. My son, a Navy veteran, is afraid to go on dates alone with girls due to the Me Too movement. He could be on a date, and it could go really well, and the girl could decide, 6 months later that it wasn't quite right, and he could be accused of sexual assault. And he could have done nothing wrong. I know he'd never do anything. Most of these accusations are false, and just from feminists with an axe to grind, who just want to tear down men because of some imagined wrongdoing.
What response do you have from claims that your son has not actually made any of these statements?
Of course he has. That's ridiculous. I wouldn't make this up.
Did you know that in the early 2000s there were only 216 false rape accusations and only a handful of them led to any sort of consequences? Keep in mind that this is compared to the 470,000 actual rape cases between 2001 and 2005.
But I'm sure many of those rape cases are actually false. That's a ridiculous number. It's just impossible. I'm not trying to put down people who've actually been assaulted, but I think that they're blowing this out of proportion. That's dangerous for honest men out there, like my son, Peter.
Well, it's time for our next segment. Thank you for your time, Miss Hanson.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome back to Channel 7 News. Today we remember the 200th anniversary of the beginning of the hashtag #MeToo movement in 2017. That was a long time ago. As well as the intense backlash that ensued. We turn to our correspondent, Ivy Smith, for more. So, Ivy, could you give us a review of what the hashtag #MeToo movement was for our viewers back home?
I'd be happy to, Jane. The MeToo hashtag was first created by Tarana Burke in 2006, but didn't see widespread use until 2017, when actress Alyssa Milano used it, calling for her followers to tweet the hashtag #MeToo if they'd experienced sexual assault or harassment. The responses came en masse, along with many women coming forward with allegations of misconduct against prominent men in areas such as movie production and politics. Many of these allegations were brought to trial, and these once powerful men were often found guilty. The hashtag #MeToo movement marked the beginning of a national reckoning with sexual violence and harassment, with undeniable lasting effects on our society as a whole. In fact, many of our attitudes today were pioneered by this movement.
But these national changes didn't come unopposed, correct?
Certainly not. The movement was met with widespread panic about false allegations of sexual assault and harassment. One poll showed that 30% of Americans saw false allegations as a major problem in the workplace, with another 45% viewing them as a minor problem. Another even showed that 63% of women were somewhat or very concerned about men being falsely accused.
Were their fears well-founded?
Their fears were largely baseless.
Data from the time period shows that only 2 to 10% of rape accusations were false, meaning that anywhere from 90 to 98% of accusations were true. Even when a